especially author on the Detroit Tigers, Roger Yoder. Hey, Roger, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Congratulations on this encyclopedia that you've written.
Thank you.
Tell me a little bit about, you were here before the book was published, and here it is, and it's amazing. Talk a little bit about how this came to be.
Well, I've worked in the media through the years, radio, television, and newspapers, and especially at newspapers when you're on the deadline in the morning of having your the paper go out at noon and you have a 10 o'clock deadline. Anything I did on the Tigers, it was I'm going to 6 or 7 sources, and you just don't got that kind of time. And I realized that there needed to be a good source for Tiger information. And so there's hundreds of books and articles, thousands probably, but this book is more about the franchise as a whole.
Okay.
So it covers the minor leagues, the coaches, the scouts, the managers, the owners, the presidents, the stadiums.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all encompassing, and it's more of an encyclopedia.
Sure. When did you first find a passion for sports, more in particular the Tigers?
1971 was my first year following the Tigers.
Okay.
6th grade, playing Little League baseball, kind of started into following sports. The Lions, Tigers, mainly then. Red Wings, occasionally it'd be on TV, but mainly the Tigers. It was a real easy team to follow because most of their games were on free TV. They were on WJR out of Detroit, a good signal. So it was a lot easier to follow.
Yeah, harder to find now. We were just talking.
Yeah.
So we always want to compare eras, athletes to, in my era to your era, who was better. That's difficult because the statistics change, and then we also have like newer stats that weren't even kept track of.
Yes. So the newer stats, I was slow to come around to, the sabermetrics.
Yeah.
But basically what they do is take the old statistics and you evaluate them. And so that's where the managers now and the general managers are taking the game, is evaluating the game rather than years ago. It was, you got your batting average, home runs, stolen bases. And the game has evolved, and it's more statistic driven than probably any other sport.
Yeah, for sure. So through your research, there has to be a Tiger that stands alone as the greatest according to maybe the records. Who is that?
Ty Cobb, by far.
Really?
And I developed a way. There's a statistic called WAR, but it's really hard to follow, and the average fan can't figure that out.
Yeah.
So in this book, I've developed one for hitting, most effective hitter and most effective pitcher, and through that, I was able to come up with the 5 all-time teams, the top 150 Tigers, top 10 by position, and it just
this is something you can keep on your coffee table and look through the rest of your
you
life.
Want to have
this is cool.
You want to have that handy if you have it.
Yeah.
If you're a Tiger fan, every Tiger fan should have it. But it's interesting because you can just open it up and you can read for whether you got 5 minutes or you got an hour you need to kill, a dead of winter or something. And there's so many pieces of information on every page.
I see this picture in the upper right. This young man passed away about 5 years ago, but you dedicated this book to him. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yes, so he died in August of 2018. He was getting ready to enter the 7th grade at Addison, and our daughter Caroline was a classmate of him. And here we are in the Philippines. We're halfway around the world, and you can't go to a visitation, you can't go to a funeral and things like that, and pay your respects. And that just brought our vacation just to a halt. We have a place there, a home there, and we visit there. That's where my wife's from. But his name's Landon Hall, and he lived in Lake Somerset, and just a tremendous young man. I mean, far above his years. I mean, he's helped his neighbors with things, and just a good young man. And it affects the community when anyone dies, but especially a young man when he has his whole life ahead of him.
Yeah, what a wonderful honor that you made to him and his family. Very, very cool. So Ty Cobb, greatest. What about favorite? Like, you from when you were a kid, or just if you had to pick one to hang out with, who would that Tiger be?
John Hiller, left-hander reliever.
Okay.
1970s. And so He was my favorite already. I mean, in the 70s when he came back. But
Okay.
he had 3 heart attacks in one day.
Really?
And I was in the off season in 1970, and he rehabilitated himself, came back health-wise, got his energy back, got his health back, got his strength back, and he had convinced the Tigers to pitch batting practice late in 1972, and they were making a stretch run, and he kept telling the coach, he said, "Activate me, I can help you out." And there's, and the front office said, "There's no way, no one's come back from a heart attack, let alone 3." And,
3 in a day?
And that was just an incredible story. And then, so they finally activated him for 73, and he has one of the best seasons as a reliever in history. And I taught myself to throw left-handed. I was a switch hitter. I did all that. And but John Hiller is one of the best in my opinion.
Now you're a stat guy. Obviously, you have to be. You know all of them. Give me an interesting Tigers franchise stat or individual stat that no one would have any idea was a record or existed.
Well, Bill Freehan, an all-star catcher, some think should be in the Hall of Fame, and he may be someday, but he ended his career with 200 home runs, and 100 of those were hit at home in Detroit, and 100 was on the road. And it was like, those are things you just can't.
That's never been done.
Yeah, you can't plan on that. You just other things was like Lou Whitaker. He had 7 RBIs in one game, and that's and you think, wow, that's outrageous. 7 runs batted in one game. But then I go back in history, and Jim Northrup, who played in the 60s and 70s, he had 2 games with 8 runs driven in, and I mean that's just incredible. And the players nowadays, they have 8 or 10 runs batted in for a whole month.
Right.
And he had 2 games with 8 RBIs. That's
amazing. Absolutely amazing. I enjoyed the Cecil Fielder era where he would try and hit the ball out of the stadium.
Yes.
Those were fun. And Bobby Higginson was like the best Tiger for a little 4-year period of time too, wasn't he?
And going through their history, year by year, those yearly reviews that the book has, I mean, they're, fielding is a stat that it's not always covered, but they've had a fielding leader in some category, whether it's fielding percentage or assist or putouts, almost every year in their existence. And so,
Michigan's favorite sports team, I think it's unanimous, it is the Tigers, for sure. So where can we pick up a copy of this, Roger? Where can we buy this?
Well, it's on Barnes & Noble, Amazon, any place you get your books. Bookstores can order it for you if they don't have it. But
awesome.
Here locally, people can contact me on the Facebook page,
Great.
Detroit Tigers book, Roger Yoder, and they can send me a message, and I'll get back to them. And if they're local, I can personalize it for them and
awesome.
Get it right to them.
Awesome. Very cool. Well, congratulations on all the hard work it took to get this done. I'm looking forward to reading it.
Thank you.
Roger Yoder, author of The Detroit Tigers, Michigan's favorite sports team. More of the show right after this.